Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Hey guys, welcome back to the program. I think this is going to turn out to be quite a fun broadcast here with the Preez family in Texas. We got a little star of the show down there who's wishing me a happy birthday before the program even began. But Chris's birthday is Christmas Day, buddy. So we've got, thank you so much. But it's a little bit early. So he's trying to make me older than I am. So we've got Rudolph, Annika, Shanika, I think it is correct, and then we've got Zachariah. So welcome to the program, guys. Hoe gaat het?
Bye, good donkey. Thank you. Very good.
We're blessed, very blessed.
Very, very blessed.
Glad to be here. So it's going very, very well.
Yeah. So you guys have made it to the Lone Star State. You're down there in Texas. How are you finding it so far?
Very, very good. We found it really good. I'm very surprised actually about a lot of Spanish folk in the area.
Yeah.
Like you go into the bank and there's lots of Spanish people, but we love the surprised about that. But I must say I love the big vehicles, big cars, big guns, everything about the Texas state. So I think we're gonna fit in very, very, very well.
Yeah.
Well,
it's an adaptation to food and all of that. Like my children's taste buds, they loved oatmeal in South Africa, but here my daughter doesn't want to eat oatmeal at all. So, so it depends on the taste buds, but it's minor stuff to adapt to. So you get something else that you like. But other than that, it is good. We're really so blessed to be here and adapting very, very, very well. And I think what makes it easier, Chris, is that we had a US tie. So my cousin and his family is also staying here in Texas, McKinney. So yeah, and that helped a lot with the settling in as well. And we have an amazing caseworker as well. So
not everything in one lady.
Yeah, no, but we're adapting well. To sum it up, we're adapting well, and we have a lot of support, and that helps.
So I see Zachariah there is already a Texas a Dallas Stars fan. He's got a Stars jersey on there from the National Hockey League.
Yeah, and he loves basketball as well.
Very, very, very like crazy already.
I actually went to a Mavericks game when I came to Texas. Now, when did you guys arrive?
We arrived the 10th in Washington.
Feb.
Yeah, 10th of Feb, and then we arrived here in Texas on the 11th.
Yeah.
So I just missed you because I was in Dallas just before that. Otherwise, you could have come to our big rye.
Yeah, we just actually we missed the meet and greet. I think with almost a week.
Yeah, but about approximately a week. I think the braai was it on the 8th or the 9th?
It got moved. It was supposed to be in January, but I think it was the 6th. No, it was on the 7th. It was on the 7th. It was on the 7th because that was exactly the 1-year anniversary of President Trump's executive order.
Correct.
Yeah.
I watched it. I watched it online. Yeah.
It was not supposed to be that day, but they had bad weather and storms, and so when I went there, it was 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so much different. Looks like you guys got your hands full there with those two.
That is correct. They've got too much energy. That is for sure. Too much energy, but it's good. We love the energy. But we're gonna send them maybe to go watch. We're gonna go watch something.
We've put something on for them just so that they can keep busy.
But it's Uncle Wyatt, ne? Uncle Chris. Is that Uncle Chris? The thing is, he's the friend yesterday's. His friends that play basketball. They're 16 years old, but his name is Wyatt.
Oh yeah.
So now you heard Colonel Wyatt. So now it's like the connection is there, and now and he can't really say it yet properly, but he's getting there.
But he's got his Afrikaans down. That's pretty good. So, guys, whereabouts are you settled? Is it McKinney? Is that where you settled at?
Yeah, I'm McKinney. Yeah,
McKinney.
And where do you come from in South Africa?
Well, we're situated actually like 10 kilometers, Kempton Park, so just right by the airport. So OR Tambo, Joburg International. We are like 10 kilometers from that in Pretoria's direction.
Okay,
On the R21.
Oh, I was going to say on the R21 up towards the Take-A-Lot warehouses.
Correct. Yeah. Literally, we are behind those warehouses, behind DSV on the highway. There, we are right behind that on the small holdings.
So, guys, welcome to America. My chance to say that to you because we've just been chatting by text and not by WhatsApp. So, but did Rudolph? Did you write to me on your South African number a few weeks back? Okay, because I was looking for you and I found your South African number. I didn't bother responding because I didn't know if you were still using that SIM card. But anyway, so welcome to America. That's my chance to offer it to you very quickly. And let me just ask some questions here. You're a young family with young kids. Annika, what drove you here? What was the push factor that got you to inquire about the refugee program?
Well, actually, it's a testimony for us because before the refugee program came out, the year before that, myself and Rudolph, we spoke about coming to the States, and I actually resumed my educational studies, my bachelor's degree, so that we can come through that avenue. So what happened was I started studying again last year and I completed my year and then just the one day Rudolph tells me, listen, you won't believe this, but they're speaking about a refugee programs that opening up for South Africa. And it's like, no way, that's too good to be true.
It's impossible.
And and I'm like, okay, so and then we knew, Colonel Chris, we knew that this is the door that God has opened for us because we already planned beforehand that we wanted to come to the States. But it would have taken us 2-3 years down the line to come through another avenue. So what happened was then they said, okay, no, it's official. The refugee program is on the go. It's legit. It's everything because, there's a lot of rumors and sometimes things are true, sometimes things are not true. So, and then we checked, and as soon as the applications opened, Rudolph actually applied in May. We put in our application, and but in February we put in our interest, right?
No. Actually, we waited with the PRM email. We waited about a month or two. I was like, what do I say? There's so many things that I want to say, but how do I explain what's happening? And obviously, when that happened, via that whole scenario, what basically happened was I started listening to you because I never knew about you. I went on YouTube before that, and then I saw you. You started speaking about how do you apply, and I started obviously from that. I just started following and started listening. But the point being is I didn't directly send the email. I was like, okay, what do I say? Because there's so much, even right now, I said to my wife, we've had so much, Colonel Chris, we had so much, stuff that there's so much happening and stuff that now that you realize that it's wrong, but you've got PTSD, your mind is completely blown and you don't know what to say, how to verbalize what has happened, how you've gone through it. But the point being is so I just took a couple of cases like you mentioned. Okay, take a couple of cases of persecution, wrote that down, and basics. I said to my wife, I'm not going to write too much because people have got a limited amount of time. So I wrote a page and a half, sent that to them in the PRM, and then nothing happened at first. Nothing happened, but the moment that the 12th of May, the statement of interest came out, that same day I was like, that evening I was like, Colonel Chris said the statement of interest is out on the year, and I was like, I listened quickly, and it was very easy as well. It was very easy. That first one was very easy, so we were very thankful. But at the moment you said, hey, listen, I was like still driving home and I saw you coming. You said, hey, listen, there's a statement of interest. Remember, even if you wrote the PRM email, do the statement of interest. Do it. I was like, hey, I'm home. I'm doing it. That evening I did it. I listened to you on my way home. I was listening and driving back from work. I did the statement of interest. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think just after 2 weeks after that, then we heard from them. Yeah. So then they got in contact with us and scheduled our interview.
Yeah,
And
it was still a
Or a
bit of
month,
time. Yeah, it was a bit
yeah.
of time. It was a bit of time after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even
so-
even so, we're talking about you first sent a PRM email probably in March of last year would be around the time you sent it.
Look at that one.
Then the statement of
Yeah.
interest you did in May, and you didn't get here until the 10th of February. So you still waited
Yeah.
like 8 or 9 months, which I think is important. And by the way, for the South Africans in the chat saying, "Oh, those accents, they sound like Americans." They do not sound like Americans. You don't know what an American accent is. If you sound, they do not. It's like they said Thea sounds like an American. No, I mean I've let that go for a long time, but they don't sound American. I'm sorry, you guys don't
That's
sound
for
American.
sure.
No, not at all.
Got
No,
another
the
star
other
of the
thing
show.
Yeah, another story there. The other thing I want to add, Colonel, is my accent has been softened a bit because I was working in China for almost 4 years. And the problem is if you speak, like Boer, Afrikaans, English, then everybody's like, they can't understand a word
They're
you're saying.
blank,
They
yeah.
just hit a blank. They don't understand like milk. You have to say milk, ilk. You cannot because they're tonal. So my point is my accent has softened, but I'm so far from American yet. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Shanika, is dat bietjie stil my life, huh? So yeah. So our accents I think has already. My wife was also overseas in Thailand for a year, 2 years almost, and of course our accents has adjusted because otherwise the people don't understand what you're saying. So what do? Doesn't help you like I'm a Boer, I'm gonna be this way and that's the way it is. You have to make adjustments, and we have adjusted to a large extent.
Okay, so yeah, that explains the accents, and it makes especially the Chinese
Yeah.
make sense because it's tonal. Buttery
Yeah.
Gold says that they don't sound American, but they don't sound very South African. Okay,
Yeah, true.
ons no praat on
Victor.
Afrikaans. Ons praat on Afrikaans no. Yeah,
But I can throw you with Afrikaans for sure.
yeah. Go ahead, you can throw me. Come on, we got to prove your Afrikaners. Do it real quick, otherwise they'll claim we just made this up.
Ek is verseker Afrikaans. As julle nie kan hoor ek is Afrikaans nie, dan is jy stupid. Because I'm so Afrikaans, it's actually insane. I mean, our children as well, their primary language is Afrikaans. Sorry for the Chris here, but
No,
it is
it's
pretty much.
okay. It's okay. Shanika keeps fading in and out because she's out of the picture
Yeah,
back there.
I'm blur here, maybe.
No, it's okay. It's fine if you want.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
it adds a little
Yeah,
element of
so-
interest.
Sorry, Colonel. So yeah, then we heard and about into everything. Our medicals, our 2 interviews, everything was done before last year, November.
Yeah.
Everything
November we did.
was the last
Yeah.
12th of November. We went for our medicals,
Yes.
and then we didn't hear anything back from them. So we were like waiting in anticipation. And I remember you said that from the 15th of December, it's going to be skeleton staff and there's not going to be flying and everything. And I'm telling Rudolph, oh my word, I hope we're flying just before that.
Yeah.
And because like the anticipation, but it's also, this whole process is just a thing of patience. You just need to
Patience
have
and trust.
patience and trust the Lord if you're a believer. But yeah, it's just trust the process. You can't rush it. It's just wait. So,
Well, I have to say,
take time.
Annika, that I'm very encouraged that somebody actually listens to me when I said from the 15th of December until about the 5th of January, there'll be nobody traveling. Now, I was off by a couple of days because they slipped a few flights until the 18th. But I explained that, and so many people don't listen to me. It's the same thing. Like I get this stuff from people. Well, we've been waiting forever, and then I start going, okay, wait a second. All right, you were first talked to in September. All right, 26 September to 17 November doesn't count. The government was shut down. That's 5 weeks.
Yep.
Then those 3 weeks in December and January, that's 8 weeks. That's 2 months you have to take off. So if you were talked to in mid-September, in October, mid-November, so now we're talking December, January, February. You've only been waiting 3 months. It's not a long time. I know it's easier for me to say that as I sit in Pennsylvania, but the reality is it's not that long. So, hey, what's going on there, Zachariah? What are you upset about there, buddy?
No, believe me, oh my goodness, so busy. I think they've got my energy somewhere, that explosive energy, because believe me, they're running around here I feel actually sorry. Luckily, we don't have neighbors below us, in the apartments because they run around like, there's a basketball hoop inside, and he's dunking and jumping around like, yeah, I feel sorry if there was somebody staying below us,
Well, that would be
because
a drag
like
for them.
11 o'clock at night, he'll run around with a ball. They're busy. But yes, so it's good. It's good. But just to come back to your point,
Yeah.
Colonel, we also said to people, people have got this idea that when you press a button, I'm the most important. I need to get somewhere. It has to happen yesterday already. And it's not that I'm saying I don't understand people's plight, because I was unemployed for almost 2 years. So if I can tell you, I've gone through hell in South Africa. But the point being is the expectation of you owe me something is for me one of the worst things and most embarrassing things actually at present. I love the people, but I want to tell them, listen, you misunderstand something. The US doesn't owe us nothing. In actual fact, they're the only people that has heard our plight. When Colonel, when Trump said that, I was like, it can't be. It's like God heard me, like the grace that He heard me. Fuck me back, mama. That's I believe. So yes, sorry. It's very. It was like literally God on answer, because I was like, this is impossible. This can't be logical, or it's not. What's the right word? It's not supposed to happen, but it happened. And we were just like, thank God this happened. That's as simple as it is. We just said, thank God. And the moment they said, listen, what do you need to tick the boxes? We just went and said, okay, the boxes need to get ticked and we need to go. Sorry, my wife just ran out to
No, that's
make
quite,
sure
it's quite all right.
yeah, that the gang gets sorted in the back. So yeah, so that's basically that. And we were just simply, okay, let's do everything we can do from our side. And when we heard, like when you did interviews, we flew in 3 days, we were like, oh my goodness, we hope it's not a 3-day thing. And every time we heard, I listened to an interview, I was like, I said to my wife, hey, listen, we just need to be ready that when it happens, we can go. But we at least had a week and well, how much? A week and a bit?
Yeah, a week and a half.
It was 2 weeks. Anyways, it was like a week and a half that we had. When they said to us, we're going to fly, we at least had some time to sort that out. So we were very, very thankful that happened. We had some time on our hands that we could sort out the last things, because we were already in the process of, as many of your, many of the interviews that you had, that we were sitting and you said, these guys said, get rid of all the things. We started getting rid of everything we could and got ourselves ready basically to say, okay, the moment we fly, but we didn't sell off anything that we were in a bind, because you said also, don't put yourself in a position when they say maybe, hey, stop. Listen, something happens, there's a government shutdown or something happens.
Yeah, and we weren't sure if there's going to be another shutdown.
We didn't know.
We actually just waited for you to give updates on this after January. What's going to happen, if there's going to be a shutdown or not a shutdown or anything. So
well, it's really rewarding, guys. I have to say bye donkey, because it's very rewarding to listen to people who actually listen to me and whose feelings don't get hurt. They're not a bunch of Karens, because I have a number of Karens that their feelings get hurt if I don't address them. Or, I get the people complaining about the same thing. I get 10 or 15 messages, and they come in within an hour, and then I make a short about it, like, okay, guys, and then people write to me, oh, I hate you. You were talking about me. I'm not talking about you. I get the same damn comment. I used a quote from someone that said, well, fine, I won't bother you anymore. I got 6 of those within an hour one day, and then, I'm not going to come to your channel anymore. Okay, get a grip, okay? So I appreciate you guys are not, not behaving like Karens. It's really nice. I'm also going to address something in the chat here. Someone's like questioning whether you're Afrikaners. Let's just put a stop to this right now. First off, it doesn't matter whether they're Afrikaners or not. They are Afrikaners, but it isn't germane. This is not a program for Afrikaner farmers for the 1 billionth time. This is a program for Afrikaner ethnicity and racial minorities. If you're not paying attention and you want to come in here and be a little deuce, sorry for the language, kids ran out of the room. If that's what you want to be in here and question who they are, that's your problem. We have interviewed Afrikaners, Sotis, or Sotis, you know, however you pronounce for the English. We've interviewed them as
Sotis,
well.
yeah.
Sotis,
Sotis.
Afrikaners, Sotis, coloreds, Indians, and blacks who've come to this program. So enough of that. I'm not going to address that anymore. The next time I see someone whining about that, they're going to be removed and given a timeout in the stream. We're going to focus on their experience. Okay, let's shift to that. Okay, let's go from South Africa to the United States. We'll go back and forth in the conversation. When you arrived, did a case officer or did your contact in the States meet you at the airport, and how did that go?
How did that go? You want to answer?
Yeah, you can go first. Yeah, you can go first.
So when we arrived at Washington or in Texas?
Well, when you arrived in Washington, someone from the State Department's going to be there, from USCIS. We understand that.
Yeah.
And they're
Correct.
hopefully going to direct you to your ongoing flight. But so I'm concerned about, because you said your casework is very good. That agency doesn't handle your arrival in the States. That's handled by the federal government. So then once you get to your location, did you fly to Dallas, or where did you fly to get into?
Yeah, to Dallas.
Okay, so you got to Dallas.
Yeah.
Who greeted you at the airport, and did they take you to a hotel or to your accommodation already?
So our caseworker waited for us at the airport. She came to fetch us. And
And one of her associates. So
and one of her associates,
Yeah.
And they already had car seats ready for us. So that helped. And it was really a blessing. And they took us immediately to our accommodation, our apartment. Which we are in now.
Yeah, in McKinney.
And also furnished with the basic stuff and everything. And I think it helps also. It helped us because our US tie here also got in contact with our caseworker. They made it work and really set it up nicely for us here. So that's why I say we're really blessed.
Yeah.
No, that sounds like it worked out very well. So Farrell Charles says, "I'm Indian. My wife is colored and are in the process of the program." Well, Farrell, welcome to the program. All I have to say is you really got on your way to piss off the ANC. Indian married to a colored. You must confuse the hell out of them, especially if you have kids. They're like, anyway, but back to the story. Okay, so you guys went straight into your accommodation, your apartment there. I can't see it because it's blurred, but I'm going to guess it's suitable. I mean, the house is okay for you.
Nice.
Okay, so let's talk about brass tacks. You've been there for about 5 weeks now. Well, 6 weeks maybe. Social Security number, EAD, is any of that? Have you got appointments? Have you got numbers? What's going on? Do you have a job already? Are you looking? What's the latest on that?
Okay, looking for a job. Then second, on top of that, we got our social securities. But I must say, the social security, we were waiting to go for the appointment, and then
27th of Feb.
Yeah, it was the 27th of Feb. We were waiting
our appointment date.
Okay, for the appointment date. But then we said, but listen, there's an office just close by, so it can't be just
a
McKinney office. So can't we just walk in and see what happens? Because the other one was like 40 minutes away. It was like very far. And we were like, why can't we just try here? I mean, then they said, no, they tried calling them, but it didn't work. They couldn't get an appointment. So we just like one morning went there. And I'm not being funny, but literally we walked in. I was still, we need to fill in some documentation. And the documentation was we got to the front and they saw us with the tool and they just like, no, sit down, quickly fill in the paperwork right here at the table, and they helped us. And like literally a week later, boom, in the mail, we got our social security. So we were like so blessed. So it worked so well. We're still waiting for the EADs.
The EAD cards, yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting for the EAD cards. But yeah, really an excellent service. Yeah.
And a lot of folks, they said that you can just walk in because they were shown away if they just walk in at the offices. And we just said, well, we're going to take a chance because some of the people also said that, listen, they were helped even though they were just a walk-in. So we said, well, instead of waiting, we don't want to wait so long because then it's still 8 days later. And then she's repeating everything I say. So then we went a week earlier and we got it actually before we would have gone for our appointed date. And the gentleman there was so polite and so nice. He said, why are we here? Do we want to apply? And we said yes.
We gave him the paperwork.
We gave him the paperwork, but we didn't fill in an application yet. So he said, no, we must fill in an application. But he says, okay, but he has time, so we can just sit there and he'll capture everything while we fill it in. And it was really, we weren't even there 1 hour and we were out.
So guys, here's a little hint for you here in America. Most people love children. They make great props when you need something, particularly if they're small and they're, you know,
we noticed.
Yeah. So I'm sure that didn't hurt, but again, that's the advice I've given people here. You need to be proactive. If you know you have a good case officer, we'll talk about that in a moment. But if you don't have a good case officer, it's not doing their job or not helping or giving you deadlines, you can't sit around and burn through your entitlements and benefits. You've got to be proactive. Go on Google, look up Social Security Administration office near me on Google, call them. And some of them do it by appointment only. Some do walk-ins and by appointment or just walk-ins. And some do online as well. It depends on the size of the office. Social Security Administration also had a lot of people that they let go last year because of the reduction in government workforce. So they have challenges some places. But you took the right step and it made sense. So that's fantastic. As far as the EADs, you don't legally need the EAD to work.
Yeah.
Because by law, you're allowed to work right now. So keep looking, find yourself a job. Do you have transportation yet, or are you relying on public transport, Annika?
Well, we don't have transport at present. So basically, the feet are pretty much the conveyance at present. So we're looking in the vicinity, but we're looking for a second-hand vehicle, and we'll get that sorted shortly. And yeah, so we're looking for work, and we're going to go from there. I must say, we're in McKinney. Public transport is not big. It's a little bit outside the main line, like Dallas. There's obviously, you know, much more public transport. Here by us, it's
take an Uber.
You have to take an Uber or a Lyft. That's the only thing that really works. So yeah,
that's a little pricey too. That adds up pretty quickly.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah, very quickly.
But at least here, the shops that we need to get our food and everything from is walking distance.
Yeah.
So it's not too far.
Yeah. So I'm just moderators. You need to just start removing people from the chat if they're misbehaving here. Just don't give them a timeout, but just remove the chat. If they continue being difficult, then give them a timeout. We got some clowns in here. Yeah. So there's one right there.
I must say, just calling out for myself. I said to my wife, I think you must have the patience because you know I said to my wife, I'm embarrassed about people that say they're South Africans, or for me, I'm embarrassed. It's not so much, and it sounds now race, but I'm a Boer. Ek 'n Boerseun. I'm a Boer, and it's embarrassing for me this entitled attitude. It frustrates the living daylights out of me. It makes me so upset because, man, are you serious? You know, like you quote that Boer maak 'n plan, but it's really for me embarrassing to have this. Oh, but you owe me this, and why didn't you do this? And why the people? I'm like, hey, dude. You know, just get your attitude right. Then, you know, attitude altitude type of thing. You know, just get your attitude sorted out, and maybe there's something that's going to happen for you. But the problem is your attitude is so suck. I think you must just stay in South Africa because your attitude sucks so bad. You know, go sit there with the other people's attitude that sucks because it frustrates me because I said, you know, nobody owes us nothing. We are just thankful, first thing. And of course, you know, you've made expectations clear from your side as a U.S. citizen. Yep. That you expect certain things from your case officers because why? You're paying them.
Yep.
So you can be angry. For us, it's like, listen, I'm just thankful, and if something is wrong, I'll tell you, sir, please, can you assist me? But we've been so thankful. But this entitled attitude makes me, oh my Lord, it frustrates me.
It gets
thankfulness brings you far.
Yeah.
Thankfulness will bring you a long way.
It gets a bit annoying, and I do have the patience of a saint, which is ironic, and that's why I mentioned you guys listening, because I get this whiny stuff all the time. Oh, he's so mean. He's so rude and disrespectful. He was rude to this person. I'm not rude to anybody unless they play the role of a fool. That's for darn sure. Unless they're a public figure, that's a different story. But sure. And also when I tell stories about the way people are misbehaving, I don't disclose who they are. But I'll tell you, I'm on the verge of disclosing a couple of people because they've just been so outrageous. I had someone send me a voice note recently, which I haven't played on air. And this person's upset because no one's helping them. They're in a difficult situation. I intervened and actually reached out to someone that I know in the garden route who's kind of well known about getting a job for this person, and then they blew me off, didn't even follow through on getting the job opportunity. And then I offered to get them food socks because they needed food, and that was blown off. And then out of the blue, I get a message the other day telling me I'm all I care about is money and super chats, and I only help rich South Africans, and they have no respect for me whatsoever, and I'm scum. Actually called me scum. I mean, that's the sort of stuff I put up with on a daily basis. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And then on top of that, we have the trolls, and then I have the state security agency hacking my Twitter account, from South Africa. I mean, ham-fisted. We know who they were, and it's just unbelievable. And now, by the way, I know this is a conversation about you guys, but I'm going to turn about myself for a second here. But so I find out that Dante van Wyk, the kid who won the judgment against Julius Malema for his life being endangered by singing "Kill the Boer," they're trying to appeal that. And obviously, I've always said along the EFF, ANC, and DA do watch my program, but the EFF has used my interview with Dante van Wyk to argue against the decision on them. So I'm now part of a court case. They referenced my video, so you gotta love it. It's
oh my goodness! It just gets better every time.
I'm living rent free in the heads of so many evil people in South Africa. It's unbelievable. Anyway, so enough of that. All right, so I've just given somebody a timeout for the first time in this chat because they couldn't follow the rules. And now we're going to move on with this. Okay, guys, what has been the most amazing thing so far for you, Annika? I mean, a lot of people are like, I don't have to look over my shoulder. I feel safe. I can walk. We had the guys, Willem and Cara up there in Twin Falls are like, my kids can go on the street and they're allowed to ride their bicycle more than 20 meters in front of the house. So I don't know if that's been the biggest thing for you, but what's been the biggest change? You've both lived overseas before, so you've been outside South Africa, but coming to America as refugees, what's been the thing that's really struck you in the 5 or 6 weeks you've been here, Annika?
For me personally, just the opportunities, obviously the safety and everything, but we were talking the other night, opportunities for my children, for their futures. That's the thing. There's just the mindset. I think a lot of people coming over from South Africa has like a tunnel vision because they weren't out of the country except South Africa, and United States is maybe the first time they went overseas. And once you live in another country, your vision opens like this. And it's no more tunnel vision. And this is a certain way you have to do things. And this is a certain way I used to do things. It's like there's a whole world out there, a whole world with opportunities that's limitless. And I think that is for me the amazing thing when I look at people's mindset. The other day, I'm just laughing because my cousin, his son, had a friend over, and he's like standing in front of the refrigerator. Just the door is open, but he doesn't really know what he wants in the refrigerator. It's just the door is open. And his son says, "Listen, bro, can you just close the refrigerator door?" He says, "Why? Can't you afford air? Cold air?" And he's like, "No, we can, but just close the door. You're wasting." And it's like people here, they think big. So there's enough. They have the mindset of there's enough. There's always enough. There's more than enough. And where in South Africa, like you have to work so closely with your budget, with your money, otherwise you're not going to make it. And I think that's a mindset change that a lot of people need to do. You can't think the same that you did in South Africa. It's a new journey. It's not just a new chapter. For us, it's a new book being written. It's a new life starting here with endless opportunities. Yep. And you can either see it's endless challenges and it's going to overwhelm you, or you can see it as, listen, the world is open to me.
It's rock and roll.
And let's make the best of it. Yep. And let's build a future that you were never able to build when you were back home. Well, so that is what I see. Except for the safety and everything, that is also priority. But for me, the main thing was just, wow, thank you, God, for this amazing opportunity for our children. And
for us.
And for us. Yeah. But also, me and Rudolph, our time of opportunity and building is also running out as we get older. But for us to build for our children, that they can have a great future, that is for us key.
Well, two things before Rudolph gives his response. The first is know your time's not running out. In America, because of our economy consistently growing over time, we have recessions here and there, but you will be able to, once you start working, if you sock aside a little bit of money in savings initially, give yourself a cushion in case you lose work or something happens, but then start putting money into a mutual fund or start investing in stocks, that money will grow exponentially by the time you retire in 25 or 30 years or whenever that is when you retire. So you have time to build a future for yourself in a 401k plan in retirement. So don't stress that. If you're 55 and older, you still have time, but if you're 70, there's no time to build a nest egg because you have to live off your nest egg. So a little bit different, but those people make it as well. The second thing is JJ Talliard said, "Hi guys, we met you at the interview in Hatfield. Happy you arrived safely." Okay. I don't know if you recall them.
Thanks.
Okay. But I just want to make sure you got that. Okay. So Rudolph, your chance to respond to that question now about, what's the most amazing thing?
Just interesting. You spoke to Lawrence and Bianca Friday. I know personally Lawrence. I don't know his wife. I know her in passing, but I know Lawrence personally. So when he said something about the beach, I was laughing at him Friday because I went with him on beach outreach when we worked with children and all that. So I was actually laughing at Lawrence and them. So yes. But my point being for me, I would just say in South Africa, the dying part, like you could possibly be killed or die or something like that. I still need to adjust to that in my mind in the sense of that the right word would be, even right now still, and it's 5-6 weeks in, I still have that thing of, hey, lock the doors, think like that, like safety. But for just the opportunity, because, as the provider of the home, you feel this thing the whole time, is you want to provide, and you try anything and everything to just get a job, and you can't get a job. So it's for me the opportunity. And like I said, I said to my wife just mentioned regarding the vision, the mindset of Texas is so. I love the big. Think big. Don't think about your limitations. I love the mindset here, and so it's really awesome just to have that possibility on our in front of us. So we're so excited to be here, sir. It's so out of this world that we're just like, we're here, and we're like still like trying to digest it, to get into it, but we're so excited, and we're like, wow, thank goodness we're here. So yeah, that's where I'm at present. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Earlier, you offered to turn off the blurred background. It might be a good idea to do that because all the movement around it gets a little distracting. Can you turn off the blur?
Cool.
If
Sure.
it's okay?
I can do the blur.
Yeah, because it's starting to become a little distracting with all the movement.
Yeah, especially with a lot of movement here.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So she's moving around quite a bit there. Go under video, and it should be there. There you go. Okay, cool. It's off. It's off. There you go. Okay, yeah. Now she's not. Now her head doesn't keep disappearing and coming back and forth.
No problem.
Okay, cool, Vince. Thanks for that. All right, so he's back. So yeah, so that's the biggest thing for you guys. So someone mentioned a short while ago, people leave the aircon on 24/7 in Texas. Yeah, because you'll die otherwise. You wait till summer gets here, folks. If you happen to be in San Antonio in August, I feel bad for you because I've been in San Antonio in August 3 years in a row. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And I've been to Houston in September. It was still pretty brutal. He's having fun there. Jacques Robles Jacques says, I may sound rude and apologize, but it sounds kind of arrogant to tell people in South Africa not to freak out when you're safe in South Africa. Well, Jacques T. Robles, I don't think it sounds arrogant at all, and I don't think anybody in South Africa is telling people to not freak out. These are people who've come over already who are saying that you just have to be patient and bear with it. The program is moving much faster than it normally does for people, and then in part that's because it's being streamlined. Also, the number of refugees coming over is dramatically reduced from what we've been accepting in past years and allows them to focus their resources. So that's part of it. But look, Jacques says in the U.S. Well, I don't think it's arrogant at all, Jacques. I think that both of these folks are just giving you a reality test here and just explaining to you. And if you take it personally, that Jacques, unfortunately, that's how you take it personally. But the problem is that people will come over when the government allows them to come over. These two, Annika and Rudolph, had no control over when they came over here. They had no control over when they were being interviewed, when they did their medicals. That was all arranged by the government and by the Church World Services, RSC. They have no control over it. And they're just trying to offer you advice to lower your stress level here. I mean, I've already talked to a couple people say that, they've had health problems because they're stressing out. Well, that's because they're not listening to me. They're getting themselves worked up. Again, let me roll the clock back, guys. Let's go back to February 6th of 2025.
Yeah.
You had no hope.
Nothing.
Unless you were extremely wealthy, you weren't immigrating to Australia, to the UK, to Ireland, to the US. You weren't getting immigration to those places, and they weren't accepting refugees.
Yeah.
And as we've seen in Ireland, they treat South African asylum seekers like crap. They'll take people from the Congo, but not from South Africa. So the point of the story here is you had nothing on February 6th. So if you throw all your chips in and ignore my advice and don't continue your life and take it as it comes, you are creating undue stress in your life. And I think you didn't say that, but I suspect that's a message you're also trying to get across in a polite way.
100%, Colonel. The thing is people misunderstand me when I say, listen, you need to be patient. Completely misunderstand. What I'm trying to point out is, if your attitude in South Africa is right, what is going to happen when you get here? Your attitude is going to be right to get you to a place. The thing is, that's the first thing. The second thing is if people say to me, yes, but you don't understand. I went through the difficult times. I've been unemployed. I've struggled to look after my family. So if people say, yeah, but you don't understand, what I'm trying to point out is just this, is that these people must understand something. I care, but the problem is if your attitude is wrong, then, not being funny, but some people, I want to tell them, with that attitude, you must actually stay in South Africa because you're destroying what good is being done. And the thing is just if your attitude is, your mindset is wrong, then why should something happen to you? I'm not in the karma thing or anything, but your word carries power. So now you're negative. And a person that is the whole time negative and, yes, but I'm in the worst situation. There's always somebody in a worse situation than myself. I know people that's in a much worse situation than me. But you know what? I've heard them and they're speaking positive. Listen, I'm gonna overcome this. But the problem is, there's people that hasn't got legs. They're sick. But you hear their words and they're speaking positive. So is your situation worse than that guy? I know my situation is not the worst that is out there. I know that for sure. But the point I'm trying to tell people is, if you're talking negative, and bad about people, what do you think is going to happen? And not to denigrate what's happening to you, but if your focus is on that problem the whole time, what's going to happen to you? That situation is going to take over your life. And shortly, I don't want to say something bad's going to happen, but I'm trying to point out that if you're speaking negative the whole time, you're going to sit in a problem. So I'm just trying to tell people, listen, guys or girls, listen, if you're talking negative the whole time, it's not going to happen. We were just literally, just to get back to the screen that says they update your case, we would check it every week. And then we laugh. We were like, Chris said, don't worry about that, my profile. Don't even worry about it. I haven't even checked it again, but I think we were finalized, but there was some stuff that could change still.
Yeah, and medicals and everything.
So I think they were still saying in process. And I was like, listen, if I'm going to focus on that little my profile the whole time, I'm not going to have a life. I'll stress myself. I just say to my wife, let's keep praying. Let's trust. Let's be positive. Let's keep speaking positive. And the other thing is as well, is then when somebody comes before me, there was this other lady that you interviewed, and she applied after us, but she came before me. I said to my wife, yes, she's in the States. She's safe. She can build her life now. Not, oh, but I was there before her. I'm so upset. I'm like, wow, way to go, people. Be positive for the other guy. If you're positive about him, want to support him, I guarantee you stuff is going to loosen up for your own case. Sorry if I'm preaching, but it frustrates me that people because now I'm safe in South Africa or in the States, and I'm not in South Africa anymore. I drove on the roads. I know people. I know people that got killed. I know people that was every day on the farm that got shot at, that got their friends were murdered and stuff like that. So people mustn't come with, oh, you don't know. I personally haven't been shot. But my point being is if you are negative, I have friends that are farmers. They've been killed almost a couple of times. And I can tell you for sure, sir, if I hear them speak, it's not the whole time, yeah, oh, I feel sorry for me. They're saying, listen, come on, you have to get up. They lost the previous year. They lost almost all their equipment because the harvest that they borrowed on to put in, they got something like 40% or 30% out. And you know what? When I call them, they're not busy. Oh, but my life is so tough. Complaining. They'll tell me, "Come on, dude. I'm gonna go for it again. Yes, this is difficult, but let's rock and let's go." Then they've lost basically all their equipment because they had to borrow against that to plant. They're planting that next year. That's what you call a boer, a guy that makes a plan and that says, "God is my strength. I'll keep going." Well, that's me. And if people say, "I don't care," sorry, but you don't know who I am. Please don't look at my motivation. They must understand something. Don't look at me and say, "But you don't know my motivation." Oh my goodness, he's got an ice cream now. He's very happy.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I see he's got the ice cream there.
And you can see the face as well.
So Rudolph, on that line of what you said there. So I was very fortunate. This is going to sound ironic. When I went to war the first time, not that I went to war, but my experience there, and I was young enough, my early 20s, that I realized something about the human condition. It does not matter how good somebody has it. The nature of human beings, all of us, at some point or other, we all complain about something. We all do. And it is the nature of people who are pessimistic to complain and complain and complain, regardless of how good they've got it. You know, it's amazing. I was in the Saudi desert and sleeping in a hole in the ground with sand collapsing on me in a rainstorm late at night after the war, you know, and then I go back to King Khalid Military City, where Puerto Rican National Guard members have satellite television, free phone calls, hot cooked meals 3 times a day, their own vehicles, their privates and specialists and sergeants driving around dispensing cash for the cash cage for field ordering officers to buy things in the local economy. That's what and they have been there for 3 weeks. I have been there for 6 months fighting a war. And I go back there and they're complaining about, well, you know, the TV wasn't working today. So the nature of human beings is we will complain. So we have to understand that. I think that's important for people to understand. And that's one thing I learned very early in life. The second thing I've learned in life is that it doesn't matter how many times you tell people things. If they don't want to listen, they're not going to listen.
Can't convince them otherwise.
Stupid people should wear signs. I would say negative people also should wear signs. I'm negative. You know, like a big I'm negative, and then you could just like, oh, just don't touch me. Just go past that sign.
I would suggest that we make T-shirts, one with a negative, one with a positive. But the positive sign, people might think you're HIV positive in South Africa, so you don't want that.
Very true.
You don't want that in South Africa. By the way, in the chat, some of you have gotten timeouts. If you were just joking about my jersey, you got a timeout. That wasn't personal, but the chat's been distracted, so I'm removing things that are distracting. So don't take offense. For those who are paying attention, you'll know that I just finished literally 3 minutes before this broadcast the Stormers game, which they played. They performed like turds. They won, but they did not very convincing. So I went from that, and I didn't have time to change. And when this is over, I have the news, and I'll be wearing the Stormers jersey again. So if you don't like the Stormers, I guess you'll just have to pull out your Southern Kings. Oh wait, they don't play anymore. Pull out your jersey. Anyway, all right. So let's go back to your experience when you went up there to Hatfield and you were interviewed. Annika, what was that like? Was it stressful to go through the interview, or did they put you at ease? Was it comfortable? How did it go?
The first interview was good. For me, it was just challenging with the kids because the guest house where we went to was not at all made for small little children. So, and you have to keep them inside. They asked us to keep them inside, and they're not allowed to play around, not outside. So it was very difficult at first, and you have to sit there the whole day. So that was challenging. But the second interview was much better. The questions, though, they were intimidating. Some of them, and you can also see, because they called us a second time in the second interview with 2 different people, from the US, and so then they ask you, and then they ask you different questions, and then the second person comes, and then he calls us separate for myself and Rudolph, and then he asked me one question, and I said, no, that's not me, that's my husband. So obviously to see if you're telling the truth, and so just stick to your story, because then there's nothing to worry about. So yeah, because we explicitly said to the lady that interviewed us first, all the details and everything, and Rudolph with weapons and what have you, and training that he had and so forth. And the second guy comes and he says, so I heard that you had training. I said, so yeah, so just speak the truth, because then you have nothing to worry about. And yeah, so it was intimidating, and yeah, the staff was really helpful and very polite, not rude or anything, and we didn't have any issues at the venues where we went. All the people there as well.
Yeah, very good. The people were
families and everything. So we connected well with the people. Yeah, but I think the thing is just you don't know what to expect. But other than that, it was all good.
Yeah, one of the things that I've tried to convey to people, because people try to game the system, they try to find out what do I say? Can you coach me? And I can't do that. That's not legitimate for me to do that. And I've had people falsely claim I've coached, and that's an utter lie. I've coached nobody. The only thing I've told people consistently in private messages and on my streams is you simply tell the truth. Do not hold back. If there's anything that might even throw shade on your application, you need to be forthcoming and answer questions. Don't be obtuse. Be honest. That's all you can do, and it'll work out fine. And not to stress over it. So that's people need to not stress over it. So
if I can just add something, Colin, now, please. I also just want to state this, is that a lot of times I told Rudolph as well, because he was the main member, and he just shared the stories, but he said, wow, did I share enough afterwards? Is it like enough evidence that we will be approved? And I had friends that still in South Africa that also applied, and they're waiting. And I told them, just be honest, tell your story as it is. Don't add something to make it sound serious, or because I think a lot of times people want to add something just so to defend their case, or just to make it that they get approved, make sure they get approved, that they have a reason to be approved. Be honest, share what happened with you, or why you're going over. Just be honest. You don't have to make something up to make it sound serious. So yeah. So
no, that's Annika, and that's what you need to not do. You don't try to see. That's the thing. People are trying to find other people's stories so they could tell that story, but that's a lie. If you lie, you're going to make yourself ineligible. So as of January 31st, not a single South African who's been eligible that's applied for this program has been denied. That's why I keep telling people, stop stressing. Just go. And I get so many messages from people, oh, my interview went so badly. And then like 3 weeks later, oh, I got tickets. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So calm down. Now that doesn't answer the question. And I have empathy, and I'm sure you do too, for the people who feel like they've been left behind. But the people who feel like they're left behind tend to be, and I'm not picking on them, but people from October, November, a few people in January, and people in February. You've not been left behind. What about the people who sent a PRM email? One of my best friends in South Africa was in that group last year, and he just got interviewed on Thursday.
Yeah.
In February 10th, he sent an email the day that it came out. And he and I have been talking about them, about the situation in South Africa for some time. And so he was ready to pounce on it, send his email in. They called him. He flew up in the proof of concept, the first 100. And here he is a year later waiting to leave the country. Now, the good news for him is that he's got a job and he's doing okay, but he is suffering from racial persecution. So, I mean, I have empathy for everybody, but some people get fixated on themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
No.
Yeah, for sure. But the thing is, Again, I would like to ask, what is he? I know he's got to work. I didn't have work for 2 years. By the grace and goodness of God, I got work in South Africa through my cousin. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had work for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
7 months. I wouldn't have had work.
But let's talk about this side. So you guys have both worked abroad. You've been abroad. Annika, I'm going to guess this isn't a gender thing, but I'm going to guess that you plan to be a stay-home mom at least for the next couple of years while these two sprout up. I mean, I think it's a fair guess. Maybe you're going to work at home.
Sir.
Okay. So I think it was fair. I mean, that's not that I'm a 1960s troglodyte, thinking back to a different era. But then, Rudolph, you're going to go out and look for work. What is your experience and what fields have you worked in the past?
Well, mainly it was in sales and management. So, I was in general management, and then as well with sales. I think one of the things that's beautiful all over the world is if you can sell something for a company, they love you because you're making them money. So I think I would like to later go into a little bit more management style, and then obviously build a business. But I would say for right now, I'll do sales. And I've been in various areas, mostly close to automotive, etc. But I've been in those various areas. So I'll definitely go down the sales route in the States. Yeah.
All right, Rudolph, if you start selling cars, I don't want to know about that. Just don't.
No. I actually want to sell guns if I could. I love guns. So I said to them, maybe I'm in the right states. I want to do guns. Because in South Africa, to do guns is very niche. And but here in Texas, I mean, come on. The guns are big.
Okay, but it's not just Texas. You guys are fixated on Texas. Let me disabuse you that it's not just Texas. No, there's a few states where it's not easy. New York, New Jersey, you can imagine where they are. California, Maryland make it very difficult. They try to criminalize behavior. In fact, their laws violate the Second Amendment, but people don't challenge them in the court. So just a moment here, I want to address something here. Andrew DeVette shared something very personal, which he didn't have to do, but he said, I'm an ex-addict and worried that will count against me. Do I have something to really stress about, or I'm stressing for? Andrew, that depends on how recent it was. I mean, if you were an ex-addict 3 days ago, you have a problem, my friend. If you're an ex-addict 25 years ago and you've been, sober since then, and you don't have any criminal convictions or anything like that, you're going to be okay. We do not count that sort of thing against people. It's kind of like, I've talked to people about, they're like, I smoked weed when I was 18. How old are you now? 48. Have you smoked weed since then? No, I haven't smoked. Well, okay, that's a youthful indiscretion. And people fall into addiction. There's a genetic predisposition for some people, and there's all kinds of addiction. There's alcohol, there's drugs, there's sex, there's being an ANC member. That appears to be an addiction too. So you can't, but there's lots of reasons people fall into it. So that is not necessarily held against you, but you need to be forthcoming when they talk to you about this and be honest and tell them, but also if it's been a long time and you've been straight and sober, tell them that. So guys, let's shift back to your story here now, because that's why we're on here. By the way, for the 750 people currently watching, I think we only have like 200 or 300 likes. Can you hit the like button? I mean, come on. You're not being charged.
Come on, man. You're
not being charged to watch this program. You're getting free. The Dupreer family is taking time out of their busy day to come on here and talk to me. And I need to drive to Maryland today, so I'm going to have a very late night, only to roll into consulting tomorrow through Thursday and roll straight into Las Vegas on Friday. Although that might be fun by the time I get there, but that's another story.
You're a very busy guy.
I am, and I'm way behind on emails too, in case you sent me an email if you're wondering about that. But guys, let's talk about your story here. So obviously you're loving Texas, and by the way, you're talking about gun dealer. My stepfather was a gun dealer. We used to have a couple hundred rifles and shotguns in our basement. That's what we did. I mean, it's I used to have I had 30 rifles and shotguns when I was a teenager. They were my own.
Wow.
And
that's the life.
And
that's God given.
And I used them all.
Shooting stuff, blowing stuff up. That's me. Guns, knives. Pretty much anything.
Well, I don't need to see things blown up. I've had too many artillery shells landing close enough to me that I'd rather not see that. But all right, so let's talk about you guys. So that's something you might want to do in the future. But what about the kids for schooling? I mean, Annika, I don't know what that's like for you guys. A number of people are homeschooling. Will you send your kids to public school, or will you private school if you become wealthy, or are you going to homeschool? What have you thought about for the kids? And also, along that line, before you answer, you're still speaking Afrikaans to them. They're both very small. Do you intend to keep speaking Afrikaans so they don't lose that language as they grow up?
Yeah. So, regarding the schools, we will homeschool for now, until they're about 6. Shanika has still 3 years to go, and then she's 6 years old. But yeah, I think we decided already back in South Africa that we will homeschool. And then we'll see. 3 years is a long time, so we'll see how things are, and also what schools, when we build our wealth and everything, that a private school, if it's Christian based, Christianity, that's our faith is very much important to us, and what is imparted into our children.
Yeah.
So that's why homeschooling for me at this stage is very important, because I invest in my children. I know the values I put into them, and especially when well, Shanika can talk already, but Zechariah is starting to talk now. And the values, nobody will put into your own children as you will put into them. And that for us is very, very, very important. So we're very picky where we put our children, with who we put our children. And because the world out there and everything that's evil and wicked is so easy accessible.
Yeah.
So as far as possible, we want to protect our children against that while they're still young. You can't keep them forever. They're going to grow up and they must make their own decisions. But until now, we're just going to homeschool them until primary school, and
See from there.
yeah. And then we still speak Afrikaans
Definitely.
in our home, and we decided that we're going to keep that. So when I teach them, Shanika can speak Afrikaans and English at this stage, so she's very well spoken in English. Even before we came over, then she will if I tell her something, sure, mommy, so she loves and is very well spoken in the English language. But and Zechariah as well is picking up very, very quickly. But we, even if they answer us in English, we just keep on speaking Afrikaans, because we want to keep that as well. It's special. And maybe I'll come, and I didn't have a lot of time though, but I want to teach them a third language, which is Spanish as well.
Yeah, or French maybe.
Or French.
Okay, I'd suggest French instead, but then I have a very strong bias against Spanish. I just say, even though I speak 6 languages, so I have a little bit of I don't know, bad news, but Broken Arrow, who's down in Dallas, the South African refugee, pointed out for you, Rudolph, that in Texas, because every state has different laws, in Texas you cannot own a firearm as a refugee. You have to be a permanent resident once you have your green card. So you have to wait a year. Go ahead and get established before you go on your firearms odyssey. Okay, before you start, shooting all the wild boar out there in Texas, you're gonna have to wait a year. So just be patient; it'll come.
I have to speak to Broken Arrow. We have to make a plan. We'll have to go to the Senate and talk to them, please. Come on, we need to make a plan.
Patience, my love.
Yeah, patience.
Well, here I'm going to recommend what you've been offering to South Africans in South Africa waiting to come over. Patience, Rudolph. You have to be patient.
Exactly.
Please. No, I was already in. What's that other place's name? What's the place's name that I was? Cabela's. I was in Cabela's, and
you must have been in heaven.
I was walking around, and I'm speaking about the guns, and I'm speaking Afrikaans to one of my friends that is Afrikaans. He's here 20 years already, but I'm busy, and there's obviously English US guy, and he's like, he says to me, when I'm speaking about the Canik, and I say, the Canik is such a beautiful gun, and I'm explaining, but he's not very knowledgeable about farms. The guy just hears everything I'm saying about the Canik, but in Afrikaans, and he's like, yeah, man, it's an awesome gun. I've got one like that. I'm like, yeah. Of course, loving it.
Cabela's, look, when I go to South Africa, I do like Safari Outdoor, like the one at Linwood Bridge. It's kind of small, but has an incredible selection of things. But that stuff can't even compare with Bass Pro Shop and Cabela's. It's just it's on another level. It's insane what we have. It's amazing. If you like camping, you like hiking, you like outdoors, you like hunting, you like fishing, Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's are the place. We used to have a few more, Gander Mountain, but they went under, and a couple others. But those two are just massive. They're just incredible places. Yeah, they're really great places to get things. So, all right. So, what has been? I'll go with Annika first. What has been the most difficult part of the process from the time that Rudolph said this was happening to the time that you arrived here and even up till today, what's been the most challenging aspect for it? For most people, it's not knowing, it's the waiting, but maybe there was another aspect that was really frustrating. Why don't you share that with me?
The waiting part wasn't bad for me at all. It's like just as a child waiting to open a present, you're like an expectation, eager expectation. So that wasn't for us a frustration at all. But also for me personally, I think from then to now, the most frustrating part actually was when we arrived in Washington. That for me personally, we had to wait a few hours on the airport because we had to sign the promissory note. Promissory note, and because of Shanika and Zechariah, they're overtired. They haven't slept in how many hours. They're used to their routine. So for me, that was the most challenging part, not regarding anything else, but we had to wait that everybody who arrived there signed, and then they took us to the hotel.
Excuse me, I'm gonna check my shoulder. Wow.
Then they took us to the hotel in the buses, and then we had to wait. So they had a first group first checking in and getting their dinner and everything. And Zechariah is like screaming on that bus because he's overtired, and everybody is like quiet. And I think everybody by now knows Zechariah Dupree. So that was challenging for me because with such small children, I think that was the most challenging part through the whole journey. Actually, to keep our children calm in that, because there's nothing you can do, you have to wait. And for me personally, I would just suggest in those cases when families arrive that they maybe first assist the families with the toddlers or the babies, because it's long. They also, Rudolph said the other day, another thing is we as adults go through a transition phase, and sometimes you have a bad day, a good day, and sometimes things overwhelm you or something like that. And we must also understand that children also go through that, even though they're small. They can't necessarily voice it like my children, but I can see some days are better than others. So they also go through an adjustment. So yeah, I think that was the most challenging, that they first, if they can, assist the families, get them into the hotels, with the process with the little children, to make it easier for the parents as well, because you can't do anything. You can do so yeah, you can do anything.
Very insistent.
I think that he wants to have a little snack there.
That is correct.
He wants milk. So
that is the snack, yeah.
So I think that was the biggest frustration for me when we arrived in Washington. Other than that, no, there wasn't a big frustration regarding anything else.
Zachariah, what's going on there, buddy? You looking for some milk?
That is correct. Okay. Excuse.
Sorry.
Sure.
Okay. Rudolph, your turn.
No, it's before you get in there, just really quickly. So if that's been the biggest frustration, then it's been a pretty smooth, other than the time it took you there. So I want to address something here. Someone named Kobus Russo asked a question. Kobus, we've already addressed what happened in their interview. We already talked about it. You have to go back and watch the whole stream. As far as financials, it doesn't matter if you are Johann Rupert and you've suffered from unjust racial persecution. You can come to America's Refugee. How wealthy, how poor you are, doesn't matter. Whether you're handicapped, paralyzed, whether you are HIV positive, does not matter. The only thing that will prevent you from coming here is not being eligible, not meeting the eligibility criteria, which are clearly stated on the embassy website, being a criminal, and it's a serious crime that prevents us from letting a danger into our country. If you're a pedo who messes with children, if you're a rapist or murderer and you're convicted of that, then that could prevent you from coming here. Beyond that, the only other thing that will keep it from coming here is lying and defrauding the U.S. government. So if you're eligible and you tell the truth, your age doesn't matter. 88 or 8 years of age, you come over as a refugee. It does not matter. Your ethnicity only matters from a standpoint you have to be a racial minority in South Africa. But beyond that, we've even had majority folks come over. We've had adopted black children from at least 2 white families we've interviewed. The Smiths and Stoltz family have come over here. So people need to stop, inferring and analyzing things they don't know about. Simply go to the embassy webpage, za.usembassy.gov. The standards are there. They've been there since the 10th of February. And if you're unsure of that, come watch my videos. There's a playlist specifically about this. Go back to February of last year and start watching the first few videos. And okay, all right. So back to you. So Rudolph, what was for you the most challenging or frustrating part? For her, it was just handling the kids at the airport. That sounds pretty smooth from my perspective.
Yeah, same for me. Sometimes just the other day as well is our case officers asked us, listen, what would have worked, or what would have helped us is, again, the technology thing. The technology is maybe a thing, but again, for me, we were so anticipating we're gonna come. We know we're coming because we were praying about it. We were like, hey, listen, we're coming. We know we're coming. We just don't know when. That's the one thing. But I must say, there was so much that went well from our perspective. But I would say the main thing that really frustrated me most was the sometimes not knowing, like not being, like Colonel Chris, when you like, hey, but listen, this is the details, and you're just like, you can remember firstly everything, which I can't. That's the one thing. The second thing is, for me, I'm like, I wish they had. I said to them, listen, I'm not fighting with you, but if you could have like a web page telling me, listen, this is how everything should happen. Now they, excuse me, they replied to me and they said, listen, but it's not up to us sometimes. They have to deal with state departments. But the point just being is sometimes not knowing, what should I do? How can I be proactive? Because my case officer is very cool. He will come back to me and say to me, Rolf, yeah, go for it. Like with the Social Security. He says, you want to go? Yeah, he says, go for it. My point is he gave me feedback. But if there was like a process where I could clearly see what should I do as fast as possible to get into the workforce. So I was just sometimes stressed out about, because I want to start working, because I need to start providing for the family. And I'm really in that position where the most difficult thing for me was also just, sometimes also, I realized something is you're working with people. So when we were at the airport in Washington, Washington is Washington. It's not Texas. And, working with different people, you realize, oh my goodness, these persons' perception of how things should be dealt with is not the same as yours. And it was difficult, especially with again, with the children. You just want to get into the hotel and they tell you, hey, listen, sit 2 hours in the bus and wait. And your child is going like bonkers and crazy. And then you're like, there's nothing I can do about this, because you're sitting in a seat that's, I'm South African guy, so the seat is not, and that whole scenario. But like I said to people, for me, I'm pretty calm about myself. If I have to sit on the floor and wait for a week, it's not going to be the end of my world. But with the children, it's difficult because they are very used to everything being nicely set up. So I think mostly, again, like I said, the rhythm of not knowing everything, and then of course my children. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I can understand that can be stressful. Kids need structure, and when you change that structure, it can be challenging for them, especially when they're small. But some are just amazing. Some just sit there and behave themselves. You give them a tablet, or they just give them headphones, and they're chill for the whole 17-hour flight. But some are just living terrors. You just never know what's going to happen there, and you don't know about your own kid until you've done it. You may have a kid that's well behaved, but that's tough sitting on a flight for that long. That's a long. By the way, you guys have flown a bit. She's gone to Thailand, so she's done long flights before too. So that wasn't new, but for the kids, obviously that was something new. How were they on the flight? Were they a little antsy on the flight?
First part of the flight, very good, but up until the airport, and then we were standing and waiting, and now they just fell asleep. But now you wake them up, and then you start moving again, and then they fell asleep again, and now you wake them up to move them. And at home, If my child is in the room, I put on some background some noise that they can sleep and they can do their thing and sleep well. And now you're waking them up, picking them up. It's cold outside, and you're walking in and out and in and out and up and down. And of course, also another thing as well is many children went to like creches and to their parents and everything. My children don't actually know many other people.
All they know is their parents, because that's who they're with all the time.
They know us. Yeah. And so it was a thing for sure. And now they're between all these lots of people, and they were, you can see it's a major shift. It's a major shock. So you can understand as well why it's that way. It's just like people like the next day asked me, are your children okay? I'm like, yeah, sure. They're freaking out because they don't know. Like when I walk into the at the front by the hotel, I walk in in the foyer, and the people are like, are your children okay? I'm like, yeah, sure, they're okay. It's just like they're freaking out. And the thing is both of them, they love each other, so they work each other up. So if the one is upset, then the other one also become upset. So it's like, and you just like, there's nothing to be done.
And imagine for the parents who have autistic children. That's got to be a serious challenge for them, because autism is not easy. But it's been done. We've had kids come over who have autism who made it over here. So let me switch gears a little bit here. When you arrived, did you guys do some medicals on this side, or are they upcoming? Is that taken care of?
We've already done 2 medicals. We've already done our 2 medicals. Our caseworker took us through, and we've done all our tests and everything, and they're very happy. So we're good and set. So yeah.
Well, let me. You guys have said a couple of times you have a very good caseworker. Do you mind telling us what agency they are so we can send those things?
Yeah, they're Church World Services, CWS. Church World Services.
Isn't that ironic? Because that's what I say. Yeah. I mean, it's so uneven, because in Tampa, fantastic job. In McKinney, Texas, fantastic job. But in Rochester, New York, a disaster from the same organization. And it comes from the very reason that I told the director of the Office of Refugee Resettlement on Friday in my hour-long discussion with her. I said, it's because there's no oversight. No one's checking on these people down level. Now, there was something that somebody said a moment ago that's very helpful. I did mention this to Angie Salazar, the director of the Office of Refugee Resettlement. I think it was Mad Max said there should be a welcome packet for people. And the fact that there isn't one, I find astounding. I'm gobsmacked. I mean, everywhere in the government, when people go, I mean, in the military, you arrive, there's a welcome center, there's welcome packets. It has information for electricity providers, for telephone companies, for rental apartments, for quarters, for army services. The fact that we don't give this to refugees just it beggars the imagination. And I kind of got across to Angie Salazar that we need some sort of packet for these people when they arrive. So now that doesn't have to be when you arrive in D.C. It should be when you arrive where you're getting at your final destination. Whether it's you did get a packet.
We actually received one
from your case officer.
Yeah, from our case officer. When they dropped us off here.
That's crazy. Because it's working. It's Church World Services working, but it's not working in Rochester.
Yeah.
This is again that thing. I was speaking to my case officer. I said to him, Abdul, you know what? I said to him, dude, you know when we call you, you get back to us. And there's some just between me and you. I spoke to some other South Africans, and he is their case officer, but they're upset with him. If you hear what I'm saying, negative.
It's strange. Because but maybe, guys, let me suggest this. You both have a very, very healthy attitude towards the whole process. You're very engaging. You don't appear to be demanding in the hour, 20 minutes we've been talking.
No.
I will bet that the other people who say he's difficult, maybe a little difficult themselves. Maybe they're demanding, or maybe they're not polite and friendly to him. But that wasn't the case in Rochester. You could be as polite as Mother Teresa, and the caseworker would have treated you like crap up there. So correct. So maybe that's the case. So you mentioned Abdul. This is another thing I shared with the Office of Refugee Resettlement. On more than one occasion, I had a situation where someone, and this is not an attack on Islam. People know that I practiced. I fasted during Ramadan when I lived in a Muslim country, and I've got Muslim friends. I have no issues with faith, but we've had more than one occasion where Muslims have had crappy attitudes towards South Africans because they're Christians. And it sounds like Abdul, my guess would be he's a Muslim. He has no attitude towards you.
No, Just between me, I don't know if he's a practicing Muslim because he hasn't got the copy and all that, like the little
Yeah.
hat and that I know that, and he hasn't got the beard. Because most of them, they've got. He doesn't have that, and he's from Afghanistan. I don't know if I'm supposed to say all the details, but the point being is he
Yeah.
is. But he's a super nice guy.
There you
But
go.
the thing is for me as well is I'm not here to tell you what you're according to me. You're doing a job. You're a US citizen. So what is my communication to you is your job. I just want to know how can I get the details and work from there. But like I said, every time we get to
clarity and
him,
communication.
sometimes you will take time, like an hour or two to get back to you. But I WhatsApp him, I tell him, hey dude, this and this is happening. Can you please just tell me what's the rest of the details that I need to do? And he'll get back to me. He'll say, sir. And then if he misunderstands, I'll just come back to him and I'll say to him, no, I think you misunderstood, and I'll type it maybe out because we're human. Sometimes my English, my accent or something, or your communication is not clear. Then you just like work it out and ask him, hey, can't we do it this way maybe? Or ask him another question, or say to him, no, you said X, or here's the paperwork. I'll send him a photograph or a scanned document. I'll say to him, oh, here's the details. You said I must follow this. And he'll be like, yeah, sure, do this and do this. So for me, it's the communication thing. Your expectation mustn't be like, I'm going to press a button and everything is just going to appear. You have to. And again, if there's a guy that's really off base and not handling you correctly, I will suggest then, of course, speak to somebody. The thing is as well, as he said to me, if I don't handle you right, we have the case manager, which is above him. He says, speak to her.
Yep. There you
So
go.
he's very transparent. He said to me, speak to my case manager. But I said to him, why?
There's
when
no
we call
need.
you,
No need. Yeah.
there's no
but
need.
but see,
You-
that's how things are supposed to work. But unfortunately, it's not happening universally, and we have these
Yeah.
hiccups. But the hiccups, I would say, are less than 3% of the cases. I mean, I have now
Correct.
personally talked to approaching 1,300 of the refugees who have arrived here, and I would say 3% or less that I've dealt with that have problems. But nobody should have any problems. I mean, we had a refugee who almost died from carbon monoxide poisoning or first
Yeah.
in the country. That shouldn't happen. And I made
Correct.
I made the refugee office aware of that, so looking into it. Someone asked a question: what will happen if you get here and suddenly you're not well? Well, if you're a family, they put you on Medicaid when you arrive. If you are a singleton, you go with Refugee Medical Systems, to the best of my knowledge. You get treatment. So Jay Langton had cancer, and she got treatment for cancer. We've had the family in Virginia who was ill, and they got care. They needed to see a dentist, and they weren't even enrolled in medical care, and they got free dental care from a dental school that took care of them. Look, folks, the horror stories you hear about American medical system are true, but they're not true. They're true from the standpoint that the way it's paid for is all screwed up. But that's because the government got involved and messed everything up. So it is unbelievably expensive. But most people are covered by medical insurance, and those that aren't are covered by the dole. Anybody anywhere in the country who has a medical emergency or is ill can go to any emergency room in any medical facility, and by law, they must see you. They can. Now, you may have to wait several hours, but they must see you. But that is not the kind of care we all need. What we all need is preventative care. You see your doctor a couple times a year. You stay healthy. Hey, listen, Rudolph, you've gained about 10 kilos since the last time I saw you. Your blood sugar has gone from 90 to 95. You need to pay attention to that. Ease up on the beer, buddy. Too many carbohydrates, But that's preventative care. And then we have longer lifespans. But almost nobody except incredibly wealthy people have that kind of health care. And that's the thing. But anyway, the point is, if you come here, if you fall ill, you'll get treated here. We've not had anyone, I'm not aware of any, knock on wood, any refugees who've passed away since they've come here so far. We have had a near one. We had a man who had a heart attack in Boise, Idaho, taken to hospital. They had been here for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, living in a hotel, hadn't got a permanent place. He was taken to hospital. They treated him, stabilized him, and medevaced him, flew him to Salt Lake City, Utah, where he's now going to have surgery in the next couple of days, and took his wife, she took her down there with him. And now they're down in Utah. They don't know anybody. She has no change of clothes, no money, no credit cards, but she's taken care of because the Wyatt Army and the South African ladies in Helping America jumped in. We got help to her, and we're sorting this out for her. But the point is that don't stress over that. The only thing that's going to keep you from coming over here is you have an active communicable disease that they test for. So if you have active tuberculosis, you're not getting on a plane. and that's just not allowed. Once it's in remission, you can come over. Anyway, so I think that's it. So I did. Did he get a chance to get a little snack there? Is he calm now? You got his.
He's calm.
Okay.
He got his Cheetos chip. So yeah, he's calm.
Yeah, the chips. Yeah, instead of crisp.
And the
yeah.
milk.
So how's that going, guys? I mean, are you having any? Because you've been speaking English in China and speaking English in Thailand. Are you having any challenges with the vernacular? Do you like get messed up on robots and chips versus crisp, or is that something second nature to both of you?
Of course.
Yeah, the other day we call diapers. We called it nappies. Nappies. And the one lady, Christelle, she says, "No, my love, it's diapers. People will not know what you're talking about. It's diapers here."
No, definitely.
Mental note. Okay.
Yeah. No, definitely the vernacular is not there yet. No, surely not.
And then just chips to fries, but that's an easy transition to make. I think the main thing is getting in at the right side of the car.
That is the worst.
The other day I climbed in the driver's seat, but I had to go into the passenger seat. My cousin says, "No, other side."
Well, don't feel bad. I tell people this story often. When I lived in Botswana, I had my Toyota 4Runner, which is an American model. It's an automatic because I couldn't get a standard. I would prefer a standard, but it's an automatic. Left-hand drive. I drive from my house to the embassy. I park it right next to the spot where I get in my government vehicle, which is a Land Cruiser. Right-hand drive, a standard transmission, and I'm left-handed. And I get in there, so I had to switch immediately and and get on the correct side of the road, and But the thing that always messes people up, and it doesn't matter if you're a professional. You've done this many times. The turn indicators are not standard on cars. Sometimes they're on the left, sometimes on the right. It doesn't matter whether it's left-hand or right-hand car. So I always mess it up. I pull out of a parking garage, and suddenly the windshield screen's going like this.
For sure.
It happened a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you want to stick to a vehicle. Like that vehicle, you get like it's automatic. You know it's the right hand that goes out to put the indicator on, that type of thing. You usually try to stick to a vehicle. But yeah. Also, Cornell, just to get back to the health thing, we were at the clinic. A guy was sitting there. Two stories. My first one, 911. I'm diabetic. I passed out here on the floor.
Oh, geez.
My wife wouldn't have been able to help me.
Quarter to 1 the morning.
Quarter to 1 in the morning.
About 2 weeks ago.
911. My cousin stays about 10 minutes from us.
Yeah.
911 got here at the same time that he got here. Yeah. In South Africa, I would have been dead. Just saying. So here I am smiling, all okay. 911, they work.
Here you are smiling.
I woke up and he didn't respond. So I woke up during the night and I wanted to wake him up because one of the children was awake. And I felt his body is like wet.
Yeah,
because of the sweat.
Yeah, it's just cold. Yeah.
But it's the first time that he didn't respond and I couldn't get honey in his mouth. It's the first time that he didn't respond and didn't wake up. So I'm not used to calling 911 and they respond like this. And so I called my cousin and he called 911 and he came over quarter to 1 the a.m. in the morning. But the two guys that came from 911 was amazing. They helped him.
They put the glucose in.
The response was amazing. But just because I'm not used to phoning in South Africa,
you just don't call. You waste your time.
Yeah, because either the ambulance gets lost or they're an hour late or something, and then my husband wouldn't have been here anymore. So
thank God for that.
Yeah, so they were here quick, and the help and the medical assistance is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Well, so the good news is that they did respond quickly, because now you could come on the program and arrogantly tell people to be patient.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Now I can tell them, hey, calm down. I have been almost dead and all that. But in South Africa, it's just, you don't even think about it.
Not just that, Rudolph. Even if they had responded, when you get to the hospital, you might not have been treated because you had the wrong skin tone.
Correct.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
correct.
I
Yeah.
I have a half a dozen people, despite the
Yeah.
Sunnyside detective trying to claim otherwise, a half dozen people who've lost parents in hospital who
Yep.
were neglected in the emergency room because they were white. They're told, well, you're white, go to private hospital. And then they die in
Yep.
front of them. It's just, it's
Yeah.
horrible. You know, that's, it doesn't matter if you're black, you're brown, you're white, you're Asian here, 911 responds. And that's good. It's, I'm glad. Farrell, that's a fairy tale. Water doesn't drain differently in the Northern Hemisphere. Also, a question came up about pressurization for kids. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know anything about aviation, any aircraft that goes over 10,000 feet, the cabin must be pressurized. Humans cannot survive above 10,000 feet. They pass out from a lack of oxygen pretty quickly, and the pressure knocks them out too. So, yeah, it's in fact, Payne Stewart, I think it was, a famous American golfer, was on a private jet several years ago. They sent aircraft to intercept from the military, from the National Guard, to try to stop them because the plane was flying all the way across America on a vector, and it didn't respond because the pressurization had dropped. Then there was nothing they could do. The pilots were passed out. Everyone in the cabin was passed out, and the plane went down and crashed, and then they all died. But they were probably long dead before the thing hit the ground.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
the commercial aircraft are pressurized. It's not ideal pressurization like you'll get at sea level necessarily. So it may affect the kids in the eardrums, but it affects everybody. But the cabin is pressurized. Otherwise, we couldn't fly. Your typical commercial airline coming across the Atlantic is flying at 30,000 feet or higher. And so they definitely have to be pressurized. So just want to make sure people understand that. It's not something to worry about. It's going to be fine. Anyway.
And just those with kids as well, what helps if you give your child something to chew on, or those breastfeeding, maybe the moms with babies, it helps, or suck on a bottle, just to keep your jaws moving so that the ears doesn't give them.
Yeah, that also helps because it pops the eardrums if you've got a binky there, a pacifier. Also, someone said something earlier. Serviettes are not serviettes in America. They are napkins, and it's not not a trolley. It's a shopping cart. It's not a robot. It's a traffic light. It's not chips because chips are potato chips, and crisp are not something we use. Okay, so and then fries are actually pommes frites, as we say in Europe, or they're French fries. So anyway, all right, that's cool. All right, guys, you got kids here. I'd love to keep you for hours on. We got over 700 people just glued to the channel. I think you're turning out to be rock stars. They're really enjoying the conversation here, and I think they enjoyed the kids earlier. But I do need to wrap up because I have to drive to Maryland today, and I need to do the news right after this. So let's go ahead, and I'll first off, I'll make the offer. You guys are welcome to come back on, particularly if we got some good news to hear about. You got a job, and maybe if you South Africans, you probably buy a Ford F-150, something like that. But you've got a vehicle. We want to hear about that. But let's just go and give you both a chance here. Let's start with Annika. And any thoughts, any advice you can give people, any comments about the process, or maybe your gratitude or your anger, whichever it is, please share that, and then we'll switch over to Rudolph. And you've got the floor. It's yours for this last few minutes.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Colonel. So first of all, I just have it on my heart to just share. Be patient, trust the process. And if you don't feel peace in your heart, if you need to go, because some people are still in two minds, then don't do it until you have complete peace. Because there's that saying that if it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. So do not do it if you don't have peace in your heart. You and your partner are in unity regarding that, because this can either be a blessing to you and your family, or it can turn out to be a whole disaster if you're not in unity and you don't have peace. So yeah, pray about it, or get peace, get surety that this is what you want to do, because then in the bad days, always remember your why. Remember your why. Why are you doing this? Even if you're here in the challenging days, in the overwhelming days, remember your why. Why did you do this? Why did you come over? It's because to build a better future, so that my children can have a great future, to build a destiny. So always remember your why, that can push you through the difficult days, to get you through the challenges. So that is what I want to leave with the people, and be patient. There are many families that want to come over, but be patient. Your time will come. Your time will come. So yeah. And reach out. Very important, Colonel Chris, is most people, some do reach out, but others don't. And if they go through challenges, they feel they're alone here and they made a mistake. no, you didn't make a mistake. There's a lot of people, a lot of support groups. Reach out.
Yeah.
There's a whole community that's willing to help. Reach out to you because you help a lot of people as well. So just reach out, get in the community, get in a church community, or just get to know people around you, because there are people willing to help. So yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, lekker. Yeah. I think patience, but keep your head right. Keep them, the space which you're thinking about. I think that is the one thing that I just want to say to people. It's so easy to become, but my situation, me. Firstly, think about somebody else. First thing. Second thing is a patience. And yeah, pray and trust and move step by step and don't take. I also want to say some people take themselves so I'm so important, I'm so serious, and all those things. Man, just laugh a little bit. I know sometimes when you're in pain and people die and bad stuff happens, it's difficult. But my grandfather said it interesting. He says it's the fire that is happy, that's bubbling inside, that is going to take you through a difficult time, and it's going to burn through the things that's in your way. And just keep positive. If you're going to be negative, I don't care where you're going to come. I don't care where you're going to meet people here in the States that are negative towards you, doesn't like you, or whatever the case may be. So now, because of them, are you gonna all become negative? No, man. Get up, go for it, and be positive and love life and have
Never
fun
should get
and
one.
you've got one, go for it. Through all the things, keep going, and again, also come back to people that give you truth. Sometimes truth is uncomfortable, but don't shy away from the truth. Get behind the heart. Sometimes I think, Colonel, when you also speak, I want to say to people, listen to Colonel's heart. Don't listen to, but he said it this. Just listen to the heart and the understanding, and then you'll get through it. And then you'll understand, like, oh, I just need to, don't follow the portal. Just keep going, keep doing my thing, and keep going forward. And not looking for all the excuses. Just keep going. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say. And thanks to you, sir. You're
thank you.
Yeah, you've given us literally. When the people ask at the interview, they said, what did they say? They're like, Colonel Chris.
What did you hear about?
Colonel Chris said everything. He said, don't, blah 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 blah. So I think they pretty much know. And I mean, many times, even when we were at the home affairs, you got here. I see the guy. I said to my wife, that guy and his wife, I know Colonel Chris spoke to them. So I start speaking to them, and he's like, yeah, I said to you, you could see he listened to you. Don't speak too loudly about it. So I'm like, hey, dude, I know Colonel Chris spoke to you. He's like, yeah, Colonel Chris het so en so gesê. Ek sê, yes, dude, Colonel Chris het so gesê. I told you. I said, relax, but I'm not going to burn you or anything, relax. But I mean, like 3 or 4 families. And it's in a small home affairs, like a 2-bedroom small little home affairs that we went to. I said to them, yeah, Colonel, I said, listen to what he said. Just keep your head down. Keep doing your thing. He says, that's precisely what we're going to do. We see a hope in the future. But my point being is just step by step, do your thing and listen to truth. Yeah. Don't always want to be,
Bend your ears out to the other social media and Network 24 and all of those liars.
Yeah, bunch of liars. Yeah, that's me.
All right, guys. First, I have to say thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. I feel I've earned them, and I appreciate the people that actually mention them. Thank you so much for that. I do have 2 questions. I apologize that I didn't get to early. I want to get to. But before I do that, I've got to say this. Throughout this interview, when Rudolph has been speaking, his wife looks at him so lovingly. It's amazing. And when the kids are there, both of you, you're answering the questions, but you're focused on your kids. You're paying attention to them. You're not neglecting them. And Rudolph is looking to make sure that Annika's fine when she leaves the scene. So really amazing to see. All right. So the 2 questions were you able to find a church? Because you sound like people of faith. Have you found a church you're satisfied with?
Not yet. We decided when we get a vehicle, then we will go and visit churches to see where we will settle in and so forth.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're worshiping at home for now, then probably.
for sure.
Yeah, that's
for
just
sure.
not. Look, I mean, I'm not a church goer. I mean, I was when I was a kid, but that doesn't mean you don't have faith. Places where you
Yeah.
can share your faith, but you can have your faith outside of church. So it's okay not to go.
100%.
Yeah. And the
Yes.
last one is and this is more of a personal one, so I apologize for asking. I should ask earlier, but have you both, I would presume, have left family behind, parents, grandparents, perhaps siblings, and was that difficult for you guys? Maybe not for little kids because they're so young, but for the two of you, was it a challenge?
Listen, sorry, sir, but I just want to say to you, our children love Opa and Oma. Opa and Oma is just, Opa, Oma! So they love their Opa and Oma. They love their Opa and Oma. So I think, yes, I think it's difficult. I know it's difficult. Even for our family, I think it's a massive thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is like I said, if somebody really cares about you, what do they want?
The best
They want
for
the
you.
best for you. And it's not to be, oh, I'm self-centered. No, it's just about, I'm not being funny, but my father passed away 4 years ago. 4 years? Yeah,
2020.
2021. Yeah, 21. He passed away in COVID. That's another story. But the point being is my father passed away, and everybody was just like, yeah, but why are you not like? I cried, but I didn't cry or anything. And people were like, yeah, but you're holding your emotions back. And I was like, listen, yes, of course I feel a lot. Of course I'm going through pain, but I just know my father in those last time was going through so much pain in that time that I was like, for him, it's better. So don't look at just yourself and, oh, I want. So for the family part, yes, we miss them. And excuse me, we want the best for them. But I know that the best for my family, for my wife, my children, I know that we had to come.
Yeah.
So I said to them, listen, I love you guys. I would suggest also you would come. But you misunderstand something. I love you guys, but my family is my number one priority. My wife, my children, and I love them, and I want to make sure that they are okay. So we love our parents. Everything is, but even we know maybe something happened. We can't come back. But I know what's the best for my wife and my children. So
Yeah.
irrespective of what happens,
There's no doubt that we had to
come.
come
So there
and,
was
yeah, no regret.
no regrets about that.
But, yeah. So it's easier to have family, especially for babysitting. Opa and Oma, and so it's easier. But at least we have family here as well.
And they're super cool. They're super
Super
cool.
cool.
Good with the kids. So
Love the
surprised.
kids.
They're so good with the kids.
So
Even their
it's
teenagers.
difficult. Yeah.
Even their teenagers.
And it's so it is sad. It is sad because you don't know who did you see for the last time. But for the future, looking for the future of our children and us, there's no regret. And my parents actually also want to apply, and maybe more family members. They're still praying about it and deciding. But yeah, maybe soon this year or in the near future, we'll have more family coming over.
All right, well, thanks. And I very quickly in the chat, MacGyver's in the chat, and he says, I'm colored, but this guy is my brother in Christ for sure. I didn't know MacGyver was colored. I thought he was a white dude. Anyway. But so
MacGyver.
Bless you, MacGyver.
Bless you, MacGyver. Dame broer.
There you
Goed, my oom.
There
I
you
love
go.
the colors. I love the
Yeah,
colors. Even
we like
when we were at the interview, we had a colors there. Super cool people. I love them. The
Yeah.
colors that with their
way they talk.
the way they talk, the English and Afrikaans. So yeah, that's beautiful.
now the color
good
community in
brothers.
South Africa has always had it hard from both sides, so they've had to find the funny part of life. Yeah, they've had to try.
For sure.
But so we got a smile on your faces before we wrapped up. I didn't want to end talking about family. It might be difficult, but also I've got a little secret out here. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people, and you guys are amongst my favorite interviews so far. Just
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, sir. We appreciate it.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time
Yeah.
and interviewing us,
Yeah.
taking your time.
Yeah.
That's my pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Again, the invitation's there. A few months down the road, if things are going well, you want to come back on and tell people about good news or maybe some other stuff. Who knows? Maybe other family members come over and whatever. But you guys are welcome to come back on. And I want to thank everybody who's been in the stream today. I'm going to ask you now, before you leave from the stream, for these people to hit the like button. We haven't hit 600 likes yet, but we have had over 5,300, almost 5,400 people tune in for this Sunday broadcast. The news will come right after this, guys. So anyway, so thank you both, and thanks to the kids, and welcome to the Lone Star State and to America. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
All right, I'll put you guys in the waiting room, and then you can drop off on your own there when you're ready. Let me just do that very quickly here. Cheers.
Sure.
Bye.
It's not quite working. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay, so that was Rudolph and Annika Duprier in Texas who've come over, and they seem to be doing quite well. So thanks everybody for tuning in. If you misbehave in the chat and got a timeout, don't take it personally. The distractions weren't necessary. We're trying to focus on the questions at hand. It's difficult for an interview to incorporate the audience questions and also do the interview at the same time when people are trolling or asking unrelated things, non sequiturs. But thank you for being here. The news will come in about 5 minutes after this, maybe short, maybe quicker than that. I'll go straight to the news because I have to get on the road to Maryland. It's a 2-hour drive. I'll be down there a few hours and 2 hours back, so I'll be back late tonight. But anyway, all right, guys, and there may be a stream from down there. I'll let you know. That's going to do it from here. Thanks to my guests today, the Duprier family, and to little girl Zachariah and Shanika as well. They were entertaining in the stream. So thank you all very much, and we'll see you in the next 5 minutes for the news. Cheers.